Da 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 da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes, get those notifications out, let people know I've gone live. And in the meantime, if you've never met me before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. It's a spiel. I know it is, but I understand I have 5 seconds to catch somebody's attention. And not only that, in those 5 seconds, I have that da 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 da, and I put everything I have left, usually because I come in so late in the evening, but I put it in there. The love is there, and I'm sending it out to you guys right off the hop. But you know what? I do it knowing that I have 5 seconds to catch your attention. And if I catch your attention, then maybe you'll give me another 5 seconds, which I've just used up. Okay, you guys. What's coming to my mind today? Just my day. I was in the process of editing a video for tomorrow. It is the last trail that I walked on my trip to Ontario. It's the last. I've got five videos this year. Last year, oh my goodness, I think I had 13 or 14 videos. I was looking at my analytics yesterday in my YouTube, and it was saying that I was still publishing those videos from that trip well into the end of November, right? And here I am. It's not even the end of October, and I have the last one from this trip uploaded, right? I'm very pleased, that I did the trip that I did, 2 days in each spot. It's not enough time to absorb the beautiful scenery, to spend enough time, because it is in that rush that the world wants to keep us in, that keeps us from being, well, I guess just keeps us distracted from the things that we need to be doing, those things that we should be doing, those things that we want to be doing, those things that we're dreaming of doing, right? And, I am, right, I fall into that myself. And it is in my intent that I'm always making plans, always setting goals, always chasing my dreams. I may have started out a little bit late, but that doesn't mean that if I don't apply myself, and you got to think, I don't have kids, I don't have a husband that I have to tend to, laundry, dinner, right? Listening to them beeping off about what's going on a football game, right? These are not things that distract me. And for myself, I'm very grateful that I don't have that distraction. For most part of my life, I felt bad that I was single, right? I haven't always been single. I'm divorced, right? But for the most part of my life, I have been single. And even after my marriage fell apart and when I divorced, right, I never went that route again. I never got married again. And it's funny because that conversation showed up in the conversation yesterday from one of the people that popped in. And no, it's not something that I feel I need to chase down. That doesn't mean that if it should happen for me, right? Because that's what it would have to be considered, that it was happening for me, not to me. It's not happening in the moment. It's not something that came across my path. Oh, that's a good idea, right? But if I felt that it was something for me, then I would be all over that. But, I have a hard time coming across people who even get me the way that I am when I show up here at 9 o'clock every night. I couldn't imagine having to spend 24 hours, right? A whole week, a year, a lifetime with, right? I had a good marriage. It was a good thing. And I thought it was forever. And sometimes it is in those experiences that we become disillusioned about what we want for the future. Oh, I'm never going to put myself through that again, right? And then you don't give anybody another shot. That wasn't the case with me, right? My what biological clock was ticking, and I did not want to, right, be motherless. I really, right, I didn't think I wanted to have children, but it didn't stop me from trying. And then again, I hate to say that, but in a way, I'm glad, because I wouldn't be able to be doing what I'm doing now if I had kids. And most definitely, it would break my heart to butt heads with ideas. And I'm not for everybody, I'm for very few, right? But to butt heads with ideas and thoughts and understandings, with your own family, that's really hard. I had that relationship with my mother where I was always butting heads, and we never ever got to know each other. We never gave each other a chance. We could have been great healing, right, for each other, no doubt. But, in our choices, right, it becomes a different story sometimes. Most of the time, we don't know from one moment to another what it's going to look like. In a second, it could be over, right? In a second, I could find myself engaged. So I just wanted to clarify, even though I say, no, I don't think that's the route, right? It's that's how I feel in the moment. And that doesn't mean that I'm not open to change, because that would be some crazy change, wouldn't it? That would be super crazy change. But it hasn't been something that I've been inclined to. It's not that I don't appreciate. It's not that I don't appreciate. I just appreciate the life that I have. Oh, how can I even say that, knowing that, when you have a partner, life is so much easier, you know, even if it's just 50-50 on the rent and the bills and then the groceries in the cupboards, right? In taking care of those chores. There are sacrifices in that, but it's comfortable for me. And I think it serves what I'm doing and what I want to do. It serves it very well. So, whatever situation I ever got into, it would have to align with that. I don't know why that spewed out like that. I'll have to come back into my live after it's done and watch how I walked into that one. Must have been about, oh, I have no idea how that one even started tonight. Melvin, how are you tonight? Melvin, good evening, Cindy. I had a good cheer today in the big burg of Chinook, Alberta. Big Bird of Chinook, you were in Alberta? Alta? Chinook, I don't know what you're talking about, Melvin. Explain it. Right? Maybe it's the color of the hair. Yeah, don't let it fool you. I dye it. Yeah, explain it to me, Melvin. I'll have to Google it if. Oh, it is Alberta. You were in Alberta? I lived in Alberta. My husband and I were stationed in Alberta for a couple of years, right? We separated and then I went back, but I had the most beautiful house out there with the biggest yard, and oh, it was beautiful and so clean. Alberta is just clean. They spend a lot of the money that they get for infrastructure, I guess. Is that what you call it? But to keep their their streets clean. Their buses, you can eat off the bus seat. They are so clean. You don't see the graffiti like you see on the buses here in Winnipeg, right? The big markers writing on the back of the seats of the buses. Well, that's what we did when we were kids. Okay, you guys, we're just going to go into a card tonight. We're going to go into it for a couple of minutes, maybe a couple of minutes, however long it takes, when Cindy gets in the mood and we start spieling. But it might be a short one because I am still in the process of getting my video tomorrow uploaded. I just got the description finished, but I still have some end screens, and I have some yeah, I have a thumbnail. Oh, the thumbnail always takes me a long time, right? And it has to be a landscape one for sure. And it has to be one of the trail. So I have to go through my footage or my photos for that. So I'll pull one out for that. Yeah, it's just been a good day. I sold a picture today that I paid $14 for, and I sold it for $80. I was all proud of myself. It was a nice picture, but it was just I bought it actually for a bedroom that I was right, but I'm living in a studio right now, but I had this idea for a bedroom theme, and I had all this stuff just piled up there, and I didn't want to be a hoarder, right? And I just said, oh, the stuff is just, it's been sitting there for 2 years. It's got to go. So I have been cleaning house. It's been keeping groceries in the cupboard. It's been serving me very well. And also it makes me feel kind of good because it makes me feel like I'm an entrepreneur, even though I'm not making the big bucks. But it is keeping a roof over my head. And it's also making it so that I don't have those stresses that could put me in a negative state. And then, right. And then the next thing you know, I'm just in one of those miserable moods that does not serve anybody. Yeah. I don't normally get those anymore. I do get worried. I do get worried sometimes, but I just have to give myself those pep talks, right? Everything's going to be okay. I just do that all the time. Right? And then I make some movement right away, right? Like I'm editing video and I'm almost done, and I've got my list here that I had to get done. And of course, there's little exams and tests and things that people throw out there, right? And I got to experiment and see what they do for me, where I stand. I don't take them as truths. Sometimes I do, right? It's just so blatantly true that you just have to accept it. Those, right? That it hits you like a ton of bricks. It just stops you in your track, and it makes you just think about it all day long. And then all of a sudden, right, there's something else just to remind you of it, until it finally, right, it just becomes fact in some ways. Doesn't always work that way, but it's in paying attention, right? It's in paying attention that we get to catch things in ourselves, and catch things in the conversations, and just catch things that we wouldn't normally catch, right? And it's appreciated, especially today when I sold that picture. I was all proud of myself. Oh my goodness, that was a good profit, Cindy. It sat there for 2 years, but I only listed it a few days ago, right? So I know that I could move things, and I have been moving things, right? And it's toning down. Anybody who sees my apartment says, "Oh, Cindy." Right? This doesn't change because these are my lovelies. These are the things I want to, these would be the very last things that I would ever move along, right? There's some things that are just kind of artwork in my life. And I gave away, there's a little library down the back lane here, and I gave away buckets of books, like Rubbermaid containers of books, and now I got blank spaces in my bookcase. I can't have that. That doesn't look tidy. So now I gotta go and buy some books. Oh, wait a minute. I think, do I? Oh, I got it taped up. I think I might have some books in one more cupboard that I'll check. But yeah, I gotta, right. I just make it a habit every time that I go by down the back lane and I cross that little library that I always, right, leave a book or two in there for them. And they're always gone. And they're all mindset, right? How to's and mindset. And yeah, I had a couple of books here, like this one I had in the pile to give. And I says, oh no, because if the end of the world ever comes, Cindy's going to build herself a tree house. And all the plans are in here. These are just all plans in well, the front half is all plans. They're just plans in how to make these tree houses, and they're pretty magnificent. And I think for myself, I would feel safe up in a tree house because then I know that some of those animals wouldn't be able to easily get at me, right? They won't easily be able to get at me anyway because I'm gonna have my survival Rubbermaid container now. I did have them in the cases. I had 2 cases, but now they're too big, so now it's all in one great big Rubbermaid container. And if I have to put it on the dolly and drag it around with me at the end of the world, that's what I'm going to do, right? I'm sure everybody has we've always had something like that going on in our households. I even remember when I was a kid, we always had those fire escape plans, So if there was a fire in the house, we would have different ways out of how to get out of the house, considering, where the fire started. So we would just always have these things going on. And it's just a matter of being extra safe because, again, we don't know what's going to happen in the next moment from now. Like, we don't want to expect doom and gloom at any second. We don't want to live like that. But the more prepared you are, right? Uh, Definitely the better. I got slingshots, I got a bow, I've got compasses, I've got glow sticks, I've got I can't even go. I got cookware, and I can't even go on and on and on about the stuff I got in this kit of mine. Yeah, yeah. That end of the world shows up. You want to knock on my door and say, "Hey, Cindy, can I join your crew?" And off we go. Right? Oh, I got hatchets and saws. Yeah, I needed a Rubbermaid container. Okay, you guys, I'm jibber jabbering tonight. It has been a very good day today. Like I said, I sold that picture, and always makes me happy when I make a little bit of profit on something that I move along. And she was pleased with it too. I was going to use it for a bedroom, but she was using it for a kitchen. I says, "Oh, you must have the most amazing huge kitchen because this picture is almost as big as a kitchen." But she liked it. She gave me the $80. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. And I wasn't really expecting her to show up today. So it kind of took me by surprise. And I love surprises. Yeah. Okay, you guys, here's the card. Just a couple of minutes if you've never come into me. There's 54 powerful words, and they're just powerful words. And I just go into it for a couple of minutes, whatever the word is. Freedom. Freedom is the choice to dictate to ourselves. Oh, dictate for ourselves, not to ourselves. That sounded a little bit narcissistic, didn't it? But no, freedom is the choice. I've never had this one before. Freedom is the choice to dictate for ourselves. Right? That was me trying to explain the word choice, but not using the word choice. So I use the word dictate. Yes, that's cute. I know how my brain works. These will all be edited before they go to press. But in reading that, I wrote that for a reason, right? So let's look at it again. Freedom is the choice to dictate for ourselves. Oh my goodness. Yeah, okay. So the first thing that comes to my mind on that was something that I was having on my thoughts today. You know, I'm thinking about saving the world, ideas and things that would make things a little bit better, where we can better like get along with each other, that we can make some movement, that we can possibly stop our own extinction at some point, right? And the a solution came to me. And well, it was always there because it's something I follow in itself. Before I had this last job that I had a really difficult time holding on to jobs. Uh, when you go through divorces and life kicks you when you're down, you break sometimes in that. And being an empath, and you walk into these jobs, and there was always somebody, right, who wanted to dig at you or move you along because your energy is making them uncomfortable, right? And so I thought, what would help me, you know, to help others, was what I was really thinking, so that they wouldn't have to go through that experience that I had with all those difficulties, right? From childhood, and whether it was from intent or non intent. A lot of things happen to kids that shouldn't happen. Kids get to witness a lot of stupid stuff that their parents do, right? And our kids are only reflections of us. And you know in looking at my life and where I'm at now, like, it's right. It was a miracle. It was a one in a lifetime shot. There was a lifetime shot. There was no possibility for me. It was only because I stumbled onto things, right? Because of the computers and AI learning, and that I was able to oh, freedom, right? Right? That freedom that I so desperately, right, felt that I had, right? We were so feral as kids. And I felt that right? I grew up in the hippie age of the hippies and sex, love, and rock and roll. And it felt like freedom, but it really wasn't freedom. And whether again it was by intent or it wasn't in the intent, it still happened. And kids grew up messed up, right? And some kids grew up, right? We all have issues mentally, emotionally, physically. If you say you don't, right, we know that that's not true. That's what we have these characters for when we show up in public. And this is why I try so hard to be genuine when I show up, because it's out there, right? And maybe that is my freedom, because that freedom doesn't feel like freedom, because I'm expected to have a character. I'm expected to have a persona. And I have a difficult time flying that way. But to get back to what I was thinking about today, what would help this world, right? It couldn't be political. It couldn't be religious. Like, you couldn't say, this is the law, right? We're going to put you in jail. We're going to fine you. We're going to take your kids away, right? You can't do it religiously, right? Because there are so many different beliefs and religions. And even though basically it's the same, because of the culture joined with the religions, attached to these religions, that it makes it like a warring factor. Like we can't get along. We're having such a hard time, right? Catholics and Protestants and Muslims and right? Like I'm not an expert on religion. I touch base on enough just to get me into the conversation, right? But it wouldn't work. So whatever it was, it would have to be, right? Something outside the law or be a law. No, it would have to be protocol. It's the only way that it would have to be. It would just have to be part of the process. And then I thought, oh my goodness, right? Mindset. It has to be in the school systems for the kids. Like if I had mindset in the school, I would have recognized and understood what was going on, right? In my own life, in my own dynamic family. And I could have been help to all of us because we were all, right? We were all tied up in what was being passed down from one generation to the next, right? But to feel like, that I mattered, that there was a way that I could follow a set of understandings. And even though they are laws, they're part of the process, right? The it just makes so much sense to me because even in the program that I went into, right? When for this last job, I quit this job. I had a hard time keeping my job. So I went through this program. And this program, they gave me a binder. I'll pull it out one time. I think it's in this cupboard, which is locked up. Um, it's in a binder, and they call it, well, I recognized it right off the hop as mindset because I had already been practicing mindset for probably, oh my goodness, a few years. I wasn't great at it in the beginning, but I was trying to follow because I just felt that resonance with it, because it just really bolstered me in where I was at and feeling about myself. But when I got this binder from this program, government program, um, it was actually the program was even written and produced by the government. And they called it an addictions modem, right? And it was to help people to get back into the workforce when they had lost their jobs. And I found that so interesting that the government, right, even uses these tools of mindset to help people get back on their feet, right? And I thought, oh my goodness, right? This is possibly the best solution that I can think of, right? In the moment. That doesn't mean that I won't think of something later on, tomorrow, in the next hour. You never know from one moment to another. But I thought of that. And so when I think of freedom, right? And we get back to this freedom is the choice to dictate for ourselves. The reason I said I was thinking today, the only problem is that in that would be people saying, don't dictate me or dictate to me how to bring up my kids, right? Because I remember my dad even doing that, right? So we would have to be able to smooth over that part in some understanding, some mutual understanding, would everybody would feel good about it, feel heard, right? That they're able to contribute before the majority put the vote in, right? And it would work. I am confident that it would work. But then lots of times people are confident in the things that they do or the things that they're setting out to achieve, and they fail in that. But I also believe when you fail, there are lessons, right? If you're paying attention, there are lessons in the fail that make it so that the next time you try, it's a lot easier, right? It might take decades to achieve something like that. But I think it's just the thing that would help, like if one country just did it. I think there are countries that do practice it in forms, Japan and their courtesies to each other. They don't even like use police and stuff like that, right? Or is that China? One of those Asian countries, I'm sorry, right? But they don't, right? That it's crime is zero because they offer these considerations. It's just part of the process now. It's the culture, right? We got to move away from being so it's hard, right? It's something to chew about. But those are the kind of things that I chew on during the course of the day when they pop into my head. But that was the first thing when you said, when we got this word freedom, and I read it, and I read it properly. Went, freedom is the choice to dictate. And as soon as I heard that word dictate, the first thing that came to my mind is what I was thinking about today, and thinking where the hiccups and the wrenches in that engine of that idea were. And I thought, oh yeah, it's hard. You can't tell parents how to raise their kids, right? But you make it part of the culture, you make it part of your tradition, right? Make it part of the policy, the process, right? I'm not that person. I came up with the idea. Other people could chew on that and work it out. But if we could get mindset into the school systems, oh my goodness, could you imagine what kind of country we could make? Can you imagine what kind of world we could make if we could get the world to jump on that bandwagon of mindset? Because mindset isn't a religion. It comes off, as strange because it's a specific way of living. It's like Mennonites and Hutterites. It's right. It's perfectly normal and it's comfortable. And for myself, I love the Mennonites and the Hutterites, and right, but they have an amazing sense of humor, and they're hard workers, and they such great communities, and they take care of each other, and they follow. But people don't understand that, right? They don't understand that. But for me, I don't even know why I went down that road with the Mennonites and the Hutterites. I don't know. Yeah, I just got lost. I went down a side branch. It's time for me to get back to the main trunk of the tree. Hello, Eugene. Um, Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're doing good tonight, Eugene. I'm glad you're doing good. Yeah, I yibber yabbered on that one. But that's with me. I had so many different things going on, and I'm not usually like that. I'm usually able to just do one thing after another. But yeah, somehow, right? I trailed off as soon as I started, because sometimes things are important, and when things are important, I kind of want to elaborate on them. And being my platform, right? That I'm able to elaborate a little bit on some of these ideas that I have in order to, you know, maybe not necessarily make my life any better, but what about the next generation, right? What about for all those generations going forward, right? We have a good chance of going extinct if we keep going the route that we're going. And that's true. We are so isolating ourselves, but we're isolating ourselves because, right, we don't want to butt heads with everything and everyone out there. 11 p.m. What's the name of your channel, Eugene? Is it just your name? Let me know. Maybe I'll pop in. Okay, you guys. That's going to be my good cheer tonight. I'm going to go back editing my video. Have my cup of coffee, which was too hot for me to drink when I came in live. I'm going to have my cup of coffee now and finish my video so that tomorrow when I get up, all I have to do is hit that upload button. And you guys got one more video from my trip last month. Yeah, it was a good trip. It's all over now. I won't be all sad and hurting that it's all over because I won't be watching the videos anymore as I'm editing them. So I have a little bit of healing time from that experience. It wasn't sad. It was reminiscent. It's different. It's different because I was so grateful to have that trip. It was so close to not even happening. Okay, I'm going down another side branch. It's time to call it a night, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.